However, there are eminent and major threats to Ghana's democratic process, notably vigilantism and our inability to punish it. And now more recently, the monetization of our democracy, which will not only create a unstable parliament, but will undermine the entire democratic process and deny the people of Ghana what is largely described as the democratic dividends. It appears today that democracy in Ghana is on sale when it comes to competitive democratic politics. The Westminster Foundation for Democracy, in some research conducted between 2012 and 2016, estimated that the cost for running for parliament as candidate was around the region of $86,000 US, which was about 390,000 Ghana cedis. Now, if you compare it to the earnings of an MP, which at the time was between 233,000 to probably 300,000, or even today, you rate it to 400,000. You'll be asking yourself what the motivation is when men and women in Ghana are ready to pay as much as 1 million. The recent MPP primaries, we've seen persons confess openly that I spent up to 3 million Ghana cedis. Where did the money come from? That is not to say that it's a problem akin only to the New Patriotic Party. In my party, the NDC, party primaries have witnessed some exchange of money as if to suggest that bribing and vote buying was permissible under Ghanaian law, and utter disrespect to the provisions of the Political Parties Act of Ghana and our commitment to fight corruption. But we saw chief executive officers banded money around in the recent primaries. It also revealed that whilst MPs were poor, chief executive officers were richer and probably affluent. It also means that our democracy probably will be the preserve of the elite and the wealthy into the future. That is why I must commend this initiative of an introspection today for us to examine how we protect it. My own view will be that we would need major reforms of our political parties, the way they are organized and the way they are run, the way our political party leadership are determined, and the manner and process and procedure for the determination of members of parliament will have to change. We would have to have a defined upper and more considerate role for the parties in parliament, probably to do an assessment of the members of parliament to guide the political party itself in their way forward. I'm not even sure.
Now, Joseph Opoku-Gakpo joins us live. Joe, what else have leaders in the House been discussing?
A number of things. All this has been unfolding at a forum that focuses on a discussion around nurturing career politicians instead of those who come in just as a way to probably build on their fame and also their social capital and all. Among others, as you rightly indicated, Haruna Idris, the minority leader, expressed concern that when it comes to the real work of lawmaking, in terms of bills that come to the House and amendments that are done to it and what is called the consideration of bills, only about 10 MPs that actually engage in that. And then he referenced the high number of new MPs who've come in and said that when it comes to that, you can only count about 3 or 5 of them who are engaged in that. All the rest end up doing things like delivering statements, contributing to discussions, but he was concerned that the real business of lawmaking, as it's even unfolding now, right now the House is looking at the Registration of Births and Deaths Act, and I can tell you for certain that, Daniel, right now, there are no more than 20 members of parliament on the floor as we speak, going through that specific business. But even broadly, some of the MPs are also raising concern about those who turn up in the House and undertake general business in terms of contributing to debates and attending committee meetings. Muntaka Mubarak, the minority chief whip, makes a case that from his sense, only about 100 of the 275 MPs are actually working as members of parliament. The rest only show up, sign their names as having turned up in parliament, and then go ahead and do other things and take their salaries at the end of the month. And he thinks that's completely out of place and things should change going forward.
Now, who are the organizers of this forum, Joseph?
This is actually a forum by the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs, which has Authority Mensa Bonsu as the minister in charge of that particular ministry. So they've been doing series of such engagements following on varying subjects. And now the push on the part of the ministry is to create a situation where people will come to parliament and stay for a longer period. In fact, Mensa Bonsu made the argument that when it comes to being a lawmaker, moving motions and working on bills and all, the longer you stay in the House, the better you are. So he's virtually championing a case where people don't just come to parliament and have to depart after 4 years. He wants to see a situation where people are spending as long periods as possible. And this forum, as the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs organized today, was to create a situation where a conversation will begin on creating career members of parliament who will stay in for as long as possible and get the real business of making law and oversighting the executive arm of government done.
Now, away from the forum, Joseph, we understand that Dr. Yao Educhum, the Deputy Minister of Education, was in Parliament today to answer a few questions.
There were questions to him from Dr. Clementa Park and a number of other individuals, and he's been responding to questions specifically on what exactly is being done to ensure that students are protected even as they return to the classroom despite the COVID-19 pandemic. And he says that all the necessary steps have been put in place, must have been supplied to the students. They are ensuring that in every class there aren't more than 25 to 30 people in the classrooms. They are limiting the number of hours that the students have to stay in. They are ensuring that third parties don't show up on campus to come visit the students. And those are some of the measures that have been put in place in order to protect the students. He's also been indicating that staff of the various schools have been trained so that then they would have basic training in order to spot symptoms of COVID-19 and all. And they are equipping schools with thermometer guns and as well ensuring that students actually dine in buses, some of the measures. He's also been responding to questions on students who are actually not present in the classroom. What is being done to make sure that they benefit from various e-learning platforms. And he says that television is being made available when it comes to teaching and learning, and even in rural communities. Directors of education are making separate provisions, both using the internet and using the television to actually help students learn. Just to tell you about this, finally as well, the Speaker, Professor Michael Quayle, has given the Communications Minister 48 hours, asking her to show up in Parliament latest by Friday morning, because she didn't show up today when there was a question about how much government has raised from the Kelnick DVD contract over the last few years. Daniel.
Interesting. We'll be keeping an eye on that one to see what the developments are. Thank you very much, Joseph Opoku-Gakpo, for bringing us the latest from Parliament. And this is where we wrap up today's Bulletin of the Pulse. My name is Daniel Daze. Thanks for joining us. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com. Remember, you can find the playback of the Pulse on the audio, on the video on the Go page on myjoyonline.com. So catch us there. We'll be back tomorrow with another exciting edition of the Pulse.